Hi there, YouTube. This is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time, my opponent chose to play as the Wood Elves, and I decided to bring the Beastmen. So let's take a look at my build. This is a more aggressive Beastmen build than what I've been using lately, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is and what I'm hoping it'll achieve. But I have 3 Gore Herd mixed in with 3 Best of Gore to form up the center of my line. And then I have 2 Ungor Spearman Herd on either flank. I have 2 Gore Bulls along with more Gore the Shadow gave. And then deployed on the right flank up here, I have 3 units of Harpies. Now let's take a look at what the Wood Elves are doing today. It looks like up front they have 2 Eternal Guards with shield, 1 Eternal Guard, and then another Eternal Guard on this side, which adds up to 2 and 2. They have Glade Guard, 4 of them, 1 with Starfire shafts. Back here we have War Dancers times 2 and 1 unit of the Wildwood Rangers. These guys are really cool looking. They look like they mean business, like that unit a lot. And back here is 1 more Eternal Guard. And then hidden in the rear, they have Wild Riders with shields. They have 1 Treekin and Durthu, which seems to be very common to bring for the Wood Elves because he's extremely tanky, he's got great abilities, and he hits like a dump truck with magical armor-piercing nastiness. Oh, I forgot to mention also a Branch Wraith for healing, and I think that's Miasma, but I'm not sure what the other spell is. So let's go ahead and get this thing started and see how it goes. Now the idea with having the Best of Gore in the Gore Herd, you know, in a good bit of them, is that I'm expecting Treekin and Durthu, and the Gore Bulls are specifically got their, you know, they're meant for Durthu. They do armor piercing anti-large damage, which is going to be extremely useful, and the Harpies again are to run interference on the Glade Guard to prevent them from missiling me into oblivion. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward while we get into range here. And the other thing I'm going to try to do is wrap around with my infantry, because it's almost like a dwarf box, what a lot of people are doing with this and similar builds with the Wild Elves. So I want to try to get as much surround in as I possibly can. So he gets, you know, some opening shots off here on my Best of Gore Herd and my Gore Herd, and then I'm going to bring in the Harpies to shut that down for the time being. And that's also going to cause him to pull some of his infantry and his cavalry here in to deal with the Harpies, which is going to lessen how much he has out there to deal with my giant infantry surge, which is coming in. And all across the line, little Wood Elves got these nasty Beastmen headed their way. Going to be a bloodbath right out the gate, very aggressive, like I said. And instead of going straight for Durthu, we're going straight for the Branch Wraith. The Branch Wraith is what heals Durthu and makes him virtually immortal and unstoppable. And you'll notice I have nothing specific put on Durthu out the gate. Just at this point, there's no sense in messing with him. You've got to deal with the Branch Wraith. So that's what we're working on right now. My Harpies get scared off. That's par for the course. Some of them will rally, and I'll send them back in to deal with his missiles. I also raise a Chaos Spawn in the middle of his Rangers and whatnot here, and these Chaos Spawn are going to again do some damage, but also prevent him from firing. The Branch Wraith is getting very low on health. I've got Morgor coming over, or trying to come over to help out. And you also see some of his Eternal Guard, with how aggressive and hard-hitting my infantry are breaking all along the right side. He's going to have to try to do a full retreat with his archers. That means they can only fire in the direction they're firing now, which is Harpies, because the Glade Guard does not have the 360 shooting ability. I leave the 2 Gore Bulls on the Branch Wraith. I want it dead before I bring them back. And as you can see, I have a full overload here on the right, tons of infantry. I bring up another Chaos Spawn, which I'm going to get in here. Over on the left, the Treekin are allowing him to hold out a lot longer. It's almost impossible to kill these damn things. Even with something like the Best of Gore, they hold out a very long time. And I hope that's something they're going to fix. I feel like they're just too tanky. So now we can send Now that the Branch Wraith is dead, we're going to send Morgor and his 2 Gore Bulls right after Durthu. Even without healing, he is not going to be any sort of a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. Now we have some of the Harpies coming back, and we're going to send them again into his archers, which are very far from his front line now. These guys just rallied. I'm going to have to get them in here as well. Now we have Durthu down about a third of his health, heading towards a half. But he's got so many abilities. Flock of Doom, and I forget what his little direct damage thing is. But you know, like I said, even without healing, he's a beast. But we have just a ton of hurt wrapped up around him. I'm going to portion some of it out to make sure I win these other infantry battles. I still have these guys to bring back in, a little slow on that. Now his archers are finally free to start firing into my lines. But I finish off this Wild Rider, so I'll be able to pull these guys over to try to deal with this. And I'm also sending some of my infantry. That way he's focused on that. Durthu is trying to make a run for it, but the Gorbulls are not going to let him get away. They're going to keep headbutting him in the ass, apparently. That's what it looks like. Oh, nothing like an anal cranial when your buddy's got horns. Look at that. He keeps horning his butthole. Oh, horn to the butthole brings down the mighty Durthu. I'm sorry, but I am not responsible for those animations. Oh, wow. Okay. So, Durthu dies in a very unglorious manner, and we have a victory for the Beastmen. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Bestigor did very well, with the exception of this one, which was on the treekin, which never die. The Goreherd did quite well. They're very aggressive, dual-wielding folk. We've got Ungor Spearman Herd that did okay. My leadership crew did exactly what they were supposed to do. The Harpies did a pretty good job interfering, but I still would like to see them last longer. I feel like they're brought down just too easy, so I think they need a little buff or something. Looking at my opponent's army, the Eternal Guard did not very well, with the exception of this one. His War Dancers were fantastic. You know, this is the kind of fight and kind of infantry they want to go against. You know, they like offensive stuff, offense versus offense. You know, they don't do well against super tanky stuff, or as well, but here they got a lot of kills. Wildwood Rangers did okay. For the cost, that's kind of disappointing. His Glade Guard did pretty good, you know, especially considering how much I messed with them. Wild Riders were good, and the Treekin were excellent. The Branch Wraith didn't get, you know, nearly as much in, maybe one heal because we thumped it, and Durthu was a little underwhelming, and that's just because, as you saw, we got everybody on top of him. So good game to my opponent. I hope if you're having some trouble, you know, with people who are bringing Durthu and similar builds and stuff like this, maybe this will help you out or get you in the right direction as far as a aggressive Beastmen build that can contend with the Wood Elves. Anyways, if you enjoyed the battle, if you learned something, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.